Christmas 2023. I was standing in my sister's kitchen in Florida, the same kitchen I had landed 2.5 years earlier, completely heartbroken, in pieces, with my younger son and a suitcase after my husband left. Same kitchen, same sister, and my boys with me. And this time I just felt happy, blessed, like my soul had finally healed. 2.5 years. If someone had told me in those first months that that was going to take that long, I would not have believed them, because what I kept being told was something different. 6 months and you'll be fine. A year tops. Just give it some time. Everybody's different. And maybe you have heard that too, and maybe you are past whatever timeline someone promised you, and you're starting to wonder if something is wrong with you, because people around you have moved on and you have not. And I want you to hear this from someone who has actually stood on the other side of it. I'm going to walk you through what timeline actually looked like for me, and with the things I learned in the first months that I wish someone had handed me on the day one. And then I'll tell you what the research actually says, because the research lines up with what I lived as well. So right after he left, I could not stay in the house we had shared. I could not eat in the kitchen. I could not sleep in the bed. And my nervous system was on fire. So I took my younger son and we flew to Florida to stay with my sister's family. And I want to tell you what that looked like, because I don't think people talk about this part honestly. I was not a guest. I was not catching up with family. I was a woman in pieces, being absorbed by a household that had already its own life going on. My sister cooked the food. She let me cry. She let me sit on the couch and stare at nothing. Luckily, my son had his cousins to play with. That trip didn't fix anything. Nothing was going to fix anything that early, but it gave me first place to ground to stand on. And here is what I want you to take from that, because if you are in those first weeks or months right now, this matters more than almost anything else I could tell you. Find one person, one friend, one family member, one safe house, and let yourself land there, even if it's just for a weekend, even if you feel a little bit like a burden, even if your bride is screaming that you should be handling this alone. You are not supposed to be handling this alone. The data on recovery is clear about that, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But the lived version is simpler. In the early days, you don't need a plan. You need a soft place to land, and a person who is not going to require you to perform to be okay. If you have someone like that, go to them. If you don't have someone like that yet, message to your closest friend and just say, I'm not okay. Can I come and stay for a few days? About month 2 into this, some friends invited me to a sailing trip for a weekend. I almost didn't go because I felt just terrible. The idea of being on a boat for 2 days around people, having to be a person, sounded kind of impossible. But I went anyway, and I put on a swimsuit, I put on sunscreen, I put on a brave face. But it wasn't fun. Let me be honest with you. I was not a woman in those photos who looked like who was having a great weekend. I was a woman who had cried in the bathroom in the morning and then walked out on a boat. But I went, and looking back at those photos now, I am so glad I went, because that weekend was start of something I ended up doing over and over for the next year, showing up in my life while I was feeling bad. The Florida trip with my sister, the sailing weekend, starting with therapy, starting the 12-week divorce program, the Fisher seminar, at month 3. Month 7, my sister came to visit me. Month 9, selling the house and moving in the small, kind of sad apartment with my younger son. And that somehow finally felt like a step forward instead of step lost. Hiring a personal trainer, working out, going on a first date little over after a year. Not because I was ready, but because I was finally curious about myself again. And none of that happened because I felt good. All of that happened while I felt bad. Here's the second tip I want to give you. Live your life anyway, even when it takes an extra effort, especially when it takes an extra effort. Because here's the lie that will keep you stuck longer than anything else. The idea that you have to wait till you feel better to start living again. The life that is in 2 parts. The broken first, then healed, then you go. It doesn't work like that. You live your life while you are healing. The trips, the workouts, the apartment, the dinner with the friend you didn't want to go to, all of that is not distraction from healing. It is the healing. Show up for the sailing trip. Show up wearing the brave face if that's what you got. The brave face is not lying. The brave face is part of that, is choosing not to disappear yet. Now, I want to bring in the research, not because I think the numbers are going to comfort you, but because when I was in it, the data was only thing telling me the truth while everyone else was telling me 6 months. Researchers studying betrayal have found that significant portions of betrayed partners meet the clinical criteria for PTSD. PTSD is not a 6-month condition. Research also shows that recovery from relational betrayal is of this magnitude is measured in years, not in months. Most of the people telling you 6 months have never been there. The single biggest factor research keeps pointing to, the one thing that most changes how long it takes, whether you are doing it with support or you are doing it alone, which is exactly what I lived. Florida was support. My sister was support. The Fisher seminar was support. My therapist was support. The personal trainer was, in his own way, a support. Every step that moved me forward was a step where I let someone else be near me while I did it. The other variables matter too. Whether the relationship continues, whether the person who betrayed you takes real responsibility, whether you have prior trauma that betrayal is reactivating. The complexity of your life, children, finances, shared community. 2 women in the same week of recovery can be in completely different places because their variables are different. Comparing your timeline to someone else is comparing 2 different equations. So when I tell you the honest answer is longer than people are telling you, faster with the right support, and different forever, I'm not guessing. The research says it, and I have lived it. A quick note, if this is landing for you, please subscribe. This is where I share support for this kind of journey, and I don't want you to have to find me again. If you want to talk to me directly, there's a link below to book a call with me. Now, here are the stages I wish someone had drawn to me, mapped against what I actually knew. Acute is 0 to 3 months. Everything is on fire. The sleep is broken. The food doesn't land. You cry without warning. You go numb without warning. And some women look like they're functioning. This is not healing. This is a stage of survival. The goal is not to feel better. The goal is to make through the day. This was Florida. This was sailing through with the brave face. This was the first weeks of therapy where I mostly just cried. Stabilizing, 3 to 12 months. The fire calms, but the house is burned. You stop feeling like you are dying every day. The intrusive thoughts come less often. You sleep sometimes, and you can have a conversation about something else. But you still don't necessarily feel like yourself. You feel hollowed out, running on a smaller battery. This is the stage almost everyone misjudges. From the outside, you look like you're doing better. And on the inside is when the long, slow grief starts. This is when most women quietly stop telling people the truth about how they feel. And this was the Fisher's seminar for me. The house selling, moving into a small apartment with my son, starting to work out. The slow grief underneath all of that. Integrating, 1 to 3 years. You start to recognize yourself again. Not the old self, the new self. Triggers still can happen, but they're shorter. And you have whole days where betrayal isn't the thing that is organizing your day. You laugh and it doesn't feel like you're betraying your own pain. You begin to build a life that is in response to what happened. It's just yours. It's the first state. It's the choosing to be curious about yourself again. This was a year that quietly turned me into someone new. Beyond 3 years and on, it becomes something that happened to you, not who you are. The wound becomes a scar. Scars are real. They don't hurt every day. This was the kitchen at Christmas at 2023. These ranges are honest averages with huge variance. If you are slower than this, you are not broken. If you're doing it without enough support, which is fixable. So here is what I want you to leave with you. The question we keep asking is, when will I feel normal again? And the truth is, the woman you were before betrayal is not coming back. Not because she failed, because betrayal does something specific. It ends an assumption. The assumption that you knew the world you are standing in. The assumption that can't come back. It's not coming back. Whoever you become on the other side of this, it's going to be a different woman. So the question that actually helps you is a different one. It is, who am I becoming now? And how do I become her on purpose? Because the first question makes you the patient, waiting for the recovery to arrive. The second question makes you the author. They lead to completely different lives on the other side of this. You are not waiting to be returned to yourself. You are choosing what gets built next in a place of the old assumption used to be. That is not a small thing. That is actually work of this whole long timeline. Looking back, those 2.5 years between the kitchen I cried in and the kitchen I felt happy in were one of the most important seasons of my whole life. I grew more in that time than I had in any other, it feels like. I did not give up on myself, even though giving up would have been an easier option. And whatever your timeline turns out to be, it is okay. Who decided that 2.5 years is a long time when those years are the years of your life that you are also living? If you are willing to share, or tell me in the comments where you think you are right now, acute, stabilizing, integrating, or somewhere you don't have a name for it yet. So you can locate yourself and the other women can see that they are not alone in this stage either. I hope to see you in my next video. Love and light. Bye.